September 16, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. There was no real economic data that came out except for maybe at 5:30, which is about right here. It was considered more of a mid-impact news. It was 5:30 as the Empire State Manufacturing Index, and as you can see, it didn't really do that much. Overall, the trading today was very, very slow, and I think it's because the FOMC meet rate decision is coming out on Wednesday, and I've seen this happen time and again. Every time this happens, the Monday and Tuesday, because they always come out on Wednesday, the rate decision. Every Monday and Tuesday, the Monday and Tuesday before, trading is usually very slow, not much price action happening, and usually never that much volatility or trading. On top of that, the U contracts of the ES as well as the NQ, they're rolling over on this, they're expiring officially on Friday. So there's already a lot more volume increasing on the Z contracts, the October to December contracts, and there's shifting volume away from the U contract. So this is actually the price action on the Z contract. It's already moved over, but there was a pretty, I would say about almost 50-50 split on the volume for the U and the Z contract. So there's a lot of volume being split between the existing one and then the one that's going to be official next, I guess, Monday. So this is what the price action looked like today. I can contain it all on this one screen. As you can see, there weren't very many setups and there wasn't even a lot of movement. So the total range is actually 5702 to 5669. So you could say about 33 points. But even then, within that 33, I would say most of the price action actually happened within, I don't know, 20, 23 points. And then if you just take the ruler tool and you look at how many candles were printed in 6.5 hours of regular trading, there's only 191 bars. So 191 bars is only about, even if it was 1 bar per minute, is only about 3 hours. So each candle did take quite a while to print, and it was just a very slow day. I'm going to go through the setups that I found. There weren't even that many setups that I found, and I did manage to take one trade. So I don't even know if I need to zoom in all that much because I can contain all the price action here. Pre-market, you can already tell this is very, very slow price action, not very many candles from Sunday night into the open. And then prices finally opened here. A lot of these candles were kind of either very large or had a lot of wicks. So I was more cautious and trusting the second entries. So prices at this point look like it's going to be range bound. You do have a second entry long here. Second entry long is a break of this green up channel, one attempt up, second attempt up. The problem with this one, I needed this to close bullish and ideally above the EMA, but it didn't do that. Same thing here, you had a second entry short here. This is your signal bar for the second entry short, but it's not a very good signal bar, plus you're above the EMA. It looks like it's just range bound. The first actual setup that I found, but it was close, it was an almost trade. There's this yellow down channel is a break, didn't test the low, but it started moving up on this orange up channel, the break and test the high. So the uptrend of this may have played out, plus the EMA is acting as a kind of resistance. I saw a new low here. I saw first entry short, pull back a potential second entry short. It's also a break of this orange, so it could be considered a lower high. And the yellow down channel wants to test its low. So it's just a little bit, the price action isn't very clean and obvious. Plus the EMA is flattening and cutting through the center. Well, pretty much close to the center of all these candles. So you couldn't really trust it reliably. So I just kind of left it alone. Then it sets up for what I thought was a reasonably okay setup. And I actually took this trade. So it's a break of this orange. On a larger time frame, it looks like it's break. First attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. It does create a new high here. And there was a new low here. It's a first entry short. Go ahead and zoom in. It creates a second entry short right here. Second entry short, I thought this was actually a decent setup. So when this candle was printing, and keep in mind, it was very slow price action today because this is 2 minutes of just sitting around watching this candle print. Now, 2 minutes isn't really all that strange, but it is strange that it took 2 minutes when it's so early in the day, because usually I would say the first 2.5 to maybe 2 to 2.5 hours of the regular trading hours is where you're going to get a lot of the price action. So each candle usually closes, a 2000 tick candle usually closes under a minute. So that fact that it takes 2 minutes for this candle, this green one here, to close, when it's so early in the day, it already tells me like be super cautious, especially when you see the pre-market, there wasn't that many bars printing. So when I saw this, it took a while for this to finally decide where it wanted to go. And before it closed, I actually entered here and I got a fill to go short because I saw it as a first entry short, second entry short. I like the signal bar. I like that it was. I didn't really establish this as a trading range here. It was actually a little lower here. And I saw this as a failed breakout, and this is actually a little higher here. So I actually saw this as a potential failed breakout pullback and potential move down. I did enter this before it fully closed. So when it closed here, my stop was actually way up here. To accommodate the larger stop, I went for a 2-point scalp. So it's just oscillating and it finally flushes down. So from here, you can see I entered at 56.7650 and I got out at 56.7450. So that's my full 2 points. And then my runner got stopped out pretty much at break even. So that was kind of the trade that I thought was okay. I was already thinking it was pushing out. So I thought it was pushing out through the lows of the trading range, going to test the low of this yellow down channel. But while that was happening, I also saw this as a new high, first entry long, second entry long failure. And it's a lower high, confirming the second entry short. I didn't take this trade though, because I was already in this trade. So by the time this was forming and it confirmed, I was already in the trade, so I didn't want to add on to it. And even this setup I thought was kind of an almost trade because it does have a decent signal bar, but when it broke out here, I was thinking failed breakout pullback, but I wasn't ready to jump in, so I wasn't really sure if maybe I was wrong because I was already committed, so I wasn't going to take a second trade. Even if I didn't take this trade yet, I was already thinking if I hadn't taken a trade yet and I was sitting on this, would I want to enter? Probably not, because it looked like it was stalling. So after I entered here, I was already second guessing the decision, but I had to kind of sit it out, not move my stops, wait. And when this one formed, it's like it might actually reverse back up. So I called it an almost trade. Then prices started chopping, and again, it gets very apparent how slow price action is. So I wasn't that enthusiastic after I already got my one profit target win to just jump in on another trade unless it looks super pristine. There was, I think, like a possible trade here because it was, so I had this up to here at this point. Now I was thinking the trading range is actually here, and it was showing some kind of respect, some kind of resistance here. So it was one leg up, pull back, second leg up, first edge short, second edge short, multiple tests of this resistance. I was thinking I was at the top of the range, multiple tests here, decent signal bar. Not all that concerned about the EMA acting as a support or resistance because you can see all the price action didn't really respect it. It was either jumping above and below, cutting right through like it doesn't even matter. So I wasn't really worried about I was going to hit this EMA and have a bounce. And I saw it more as a potential of moving all the way down and potentially hitting this as a support. So I thought that was a possible trade here. I didn't take it though because I wanted to see a first entry long, potentially a second entry long, maybe a failure. Feel a little more confident. Then you also do get a second entry long here. I thought this is also an almost trade. And the reason being is it's not as strong as the setup here because here, this is very, very obvious that there's some kind of resistance being respected here. Down here, it's not so obvious because you see have a violation here. You have an even lower low here. And it comes back and you have a higher low, then you have something in between. So if the trading range is here, or maybe it's actually down here, you have a breakout here. Maybe it's actually fitting well here, or maybe it's actually all the way down to here. So it left room open for interpretation as opposed to, so you know you're kind of in a range, but you know the high side is more well defined, and the low side is a little more iffy. So then I look at the signal bar. The signal bar seems a little neutral, and there's enough room to move to the high side if you're going on a long, but I needed something a little more decisive, something a little more clean than this signal bar. So definitely had to leave it alone. Then prices continue moving. There was a second entry long here, but it's not the best. This is a signal bar. It moves one tick below, it flushes up. Keep in mind, in real time, this is what I'm seeing. I'm thinking, is this still acting as a strong resistance? You had no idea it's going to start pushing up and through. And with how long prices were taking, the amount of volume is actually, semi-decent, but it's just how it translated to price action wasn't all that great. So here I was already thinking, I don't think I want to take any more trades. It just seems like a very slow dud day. And I anticipate tomorrow will be the same. So I actually didn't really uh, bother looking to, try to get into any trades here because there also wasn't really any setups here. As you can see, this is like the last hour from here to here. And even the last 10 minutes took up the majority of what was going on. So let me just go ahead and kind of triangle out what I'm trying to explain, or rectangle out. So this is the last hour of trading. And then last 10 minutes is pretty much half of this rectangle. So this is 40 minutes of price action. As you can see, 40 minutes of price action didn't really yield all that much. Nothing really worth taking. So you could say there's a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, maybe a multiple test. You could say it's the bottom of range, decent signal bar, but technically it is also inside, it's an inside bar, and technically your second entry long was made here. So when there's this much time for the market to try to think things through, that gets me antsy. So I just kind of decided at that point, yeah, I'm just happy with my one trade and be prepared that tomorrow might be a no trade day because tomorrow might be even slower. As with more contracts, more traders move over from the U contracts to the Z contract, plus it's the day right before the FOMC rate decision. So kind of how I saw the charts today, really slow, kind of a boring day. So hopefully that was helpful.